It's Patrick Hutzel from IntensiveCareHotline.com, where we instantly improve the lives for families of critically ill patients in intensive care so that you can make informed decisions, have peace of mind, real power, real control, and so that you can influence decision making fast, even if you're not a doctor or a nurse in intensive care. This is another episode of Your Questions Answered, and in last week's episode, I answered another question from our readers as part of my one-on-one counseling and consulting. And the question last week was part 6 of my 57-year-old dad has been in intensive care with cardiomyopathy and pneumonia for 5 weeks. He's still in an induced coma and still doesn't have a tracheostomy. Help, part 6. You can check out the answer to last week's question by clicking on the link below this video. In this week's episode of Your Questions Answered, I want to answer another question from one of our readers. And the question this week is part 7 of my 57-year-old dad has been in intensive care with cardiomyopathy and pneumonia for 5 weeks. He's still in an induced coma and still doesn't have a tracheostomy. Help. This series of questions from Gary are excerpts from numerous one-on-one phone and email counseling and consulting sessions with me over a 2-month period. Previous questions from Gary you can access below this video from part 1 to part 6, and I'll put links to those other questions. Gary and his family went through many challenges while his dad was in intensive care, and I felt very privileged helping Gary through this difficult time in his and his dad's life. So Gary writes, "Hi Patrick, I hope you're well. Sorry for not getting back to you earlier. I have been in and out of ICU to see my dad and try and get a handle on what's happening. Would you be free tomorrow for another phone session around 12:30 p.m? Things are generally good and stable at the moment with my dad. He's making very slow progress. As you know, he's off the sedation and he's fully mentally aware of what's going on. He's still in the same ICU. I was a little bit happier with his treatment in this ICU after I told them I was thinking about moving him, but I think it's going backwards again. He's still not able to speak as they can't seem to wean him off the ventilator. He also has lots of secretions. He has become very agitated and anxious and has daily panic attacks, which is not like my dad at all. They also seem to have stopped doing tests on the heart for now, I believe. No more ultrasounds or echocardiograms of the heart. Given that he's still on inotropes, dobutamine and noradrenaline, I'm very worried that they stopped doing things. It almost looks to me like they're giving up. Looking forward to speaking to you soon, from Gary." Hi Gary, thanks for getting in touch again. It sounds to me like your dad might be plateauing for now, with him not going backwards but also not moving forward. I'm glad to hear that they have been a little bit more responsive to you and your dad's needs, given you have made clear to them that you'd like him in another intensive care unit. And again, I believe he would still greatly benefit from leaving this environment, as we have discussed at great length in our last phone call. As far as your dad's current situation is going, the following issues emerge and need to be addressed. As long as your dad is having lots of secretions and needs to be suctioned regularly, they will have a very hard time weaning him off the ventilator and the tracheostomy. On top of that, if he's getting minimal physical therapy or physiotherapy, and you have confirmed that he's hardly getting any of it, it'll be hard to build up his strength and stamina. He will be unable to build up his strength and stamina if he's lying in bed 24 hours a day with little to no movement. Again, Gary, they just lack the skills, resources, and know-how in how to deal with your dad's current difficult situation, because they wouldn't have seen patients with cardiomyopathy very often in a 3-bed ICU. Given that cardiomyopathy requires such specialized treatment and attention to detail, they have, sorry for saying it once again, they have missed the boat and they have been negligent by not referring your dad to another, bigger, more specialized, better equipped and better resourced ICU. From what you are describing, the following is happening currently. With your dad having lots of secretions is most likely a sign that his weakened heart is not coping. What it means is that either he's having excess fluids on the lungs because the heart is congested and therefore can't pump blood around the body efficiently. This often leads to fluid accumulation in the lungs, resulting in excess secretions. It's also a result of the heart not contracting properly with the cardiomyopathy, hence why he needs the dobutamine in particular. But given that your dad has now been on dobutamine for nearly 2 months, there's only so much more that can be done, especially again in such a small 3-bed ICU environment. Also, given that your dad's general condition has been deteriorating significantly after 2 months in ICU, as you can imagine and appreciate, any ICU stay is burdensome, let alone a long-term stay in ICU. Your dad currently has little chance getting off the ventilator and the tracheostomy. This is not only because of his weakened general condition, but also because of the same mechanisms that lead to your dad having lots of secretions on his chest that he needs to be suctioned for constantly. Again, Gary, your dad's heart is being weak, and not pumping sufficient blood around the body will make your dad's lungs weak as well, because the lungs are not getting supplied with sufficient oxygen from the body, hence why he needs the ventilator. The ventilator and the tracheostomy leave him unable to speak and therefore frustrated. You are also saying in your email that your dad has become very agitated and anxious and has daily panic attacks, which is not like your dad normally. Again, Gary, imagine you've been stuck and you've been confined to a bed in ICU on a ventilator and you've spent many weeks in an induced coma whilst being critically ill. Now that your dad is being more awake and may also get a better understanding of how sick he is, he might get even more panicky. You often see this, especially in long-term intensive care patients. It could also be part of ICU delirium and ICU psychosis. ICU delirium and ICU psychosis has mainly been described for patients that have been in intensive care and in an induced coma for prolonged periods. Again, I need to go back to your dad's first few weeks in ICU, where they didn't refer him to another, more specialized, bigger, better resourced and more experienced ICU, where he would have had all the necessary skills, know-how, and probably also goodwill available to treat his condition appropriately, and therefore with increased chances to get out of ICU alive in a more reasonable time frame. He would have had all the appropriate treatment options such as ECMO, VAD, or even heart transplant available to him. And the next thing they didn't do was a tracheostomy in an appropriate time frame, and instead they left him on a ventilator and in an induced coma for 5 weeks. Especially this prolonged time that your dad had on the ventilator with the breathing tube instead of an early tracheostomy was such a blunder by the doctors in this ICU. As we discussed, Rob, by your dad having the breathing tube inappropriately for such a long period, he would have also needed more sedatives and more opiates, which are the painkillers, such as midazolam, Versed, as well as morphine or fentanyl. All of these drugs are highly addictive and also put huge strains on other major vital organs such as the heart, kidneys, and the liver. including the lungs, as some of the major side effects of those drugs are respiratory depression. Again, all of those drugs are also highly addictive. Therefore, again, the use of such drugs should be minimized as much as possible. Well, what did they do instead? Instead of doing an early tracheostomy and wean him off sedation and opiates as quickly as possible, they kept sedating him heavily and unnecessarily for nearly 5 weeks before they finally, after much discussion and after much pressure, did the tracheostomy. During those 5 weeks, your dad's body would have become addicted to the midazolam or worse and the morphine or fentanyl. Therefore, part of your dad's agitation, confusion, and delirium is most likely because of the withdrawal from those potent and addictive drugs that he had for many weeks. This is often a vicious cycle because of the agitation. He now may need other medications to calm him down. Other medications they may be using for the delirium are drugs like Seroquel or even haloperidol. Sometimes clonidine can be used as well, but clonidine needs to be used sparingly with an already low blood pressure your dad is dealing with. You see, Gary, their whole approach to your dad's case is now showing off in a way that you couldn't have predicted when he first got admitted to this ICU. You thought that they would have had his quote-unquote best interest at heart. Now that I've opened your eyes to what's really going on, you have unfortunately seen where they have let you and your dad down. You simply don't know what you don't know. I'm also not surprised to hear that they have minimized testing and diagnostics for his heart. I'm certainly concerned by that, but not surprised. Again, Gary, with your dad having such a weak heart and with him being diagnosed with cardiomyopathy early on, he should have been referred to another ICU very, very quickly. It certainly looks as for now they are giving up on your dad, but again, it's not surprising given how they've handled this whole dilemma from the start. As time goes on, no other ICU will take your dad because he's so weakened by now that any other advanced treatment another ICU can offer might be of no benefit to your dad. I will elaborate more on those issues when we talk again tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Take care until then. So, how can you become the best advocate for your critically ill loved one? Make informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power, and influence quickly whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. You get to that all-important feeling of making informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power, and influence when you download your free Instant Impact Report now by entering your email below. In your free Instant Impact Report, you learn quickly how to make informed decisions, get peace of mind, real power and real control, and how you can influence decision-making fast whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. Your free Instant Impact Report gives you in-depth insight that you must know whilst your loved one is critically ill or is even dying in intensive care. Sign up and download your free Instant Impact Report now by entering your email below. In your free Instant Impact Report, you learn how to speak the secret intensive care language so that the doctors and the nurses know straight away that you are an insider and that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care. In your free report, you will also discover how to ask the doctors and the nurses the right questions, discover the many competing interests in intensive care, and how your critically ill loved one's treatment may depend on those competing interests. How to eliminate fear, frustration, stress, struggle, and vulnerability even if your loved one is dying. You get 5 mind-blowing tips and strategies helping you to get on the right path to making informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power, and influence in your situation. You'll get real-world examples that you can easily adapt to your and your critically ill loved one's situation. How to stop being intimidated by the intensive care team and how you will be seen as equals. You'll get crucial behind the scenes insight so that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care and how you need to manage doctors and nurses in intensive care, and it's not what you think. Thank you for tuning into this week's Your Questions Answered episode, and I'll see you again next week in another update. Make sure you also check out our blog section for more tips and strategies, or simply send me an email to support@intensivecarehotline.com with your questions. Or you can call me, find international phone numbers on our contacts tab. Also, check out our ebook section where you get more ebooks, videos, and audio recordings, and where you can also get one-on-one counseling and consulting with me via Skype, over the phone, or via email by clicking on the products tab. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecarehotline.com, and I'll see you again next week in another update.